Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to completely distill Bob Burg's core philosophy from his absolutely incredible work, The Art of Persuasion, into a highly actionable daily routine. You see, rather than just throwing a bunch of high-level theory at you, we are going to transform these communication principles into a master persuader toolkit, one that you can basically step right into and start using today. So let me ask you a pretty bold question. Have you ever wanted to get exactly what you want, but while doing it, actually making the other person feel genuinely great about giving it to you? I know, it sounds a bit like magic, right? Most of us are conditioned to assume that to win, well, someone else has to lose, or that getting your way requires this aggressive, forceful, or intimidating energy. But actually, getting what you want without resorting to those aggressive tactics is not only entirely possible, it's literally a million times more effective. To get you there, here is our roadmap. We're going to walk through 6 structured steps. We'll kick things off with the emotion-driven mind. Then we'll break down 4 core habits: responding over reacting, the platinum rule, the 8 magic words, and cultivating unseen loyalty. And finally, we are going to tie the whole shebang together into your daily persuasion checklist. Let's dive in. First things first, we need to clear the air on a massive misconception. There is a huge difference between manipulation and positive persuasion. As Dr. Paul Sweats points out, manipulation is all about control. It's a win-lose game that completely ignores what's good for the other party. Persuasion, on the flip side, aims at cooperation. It's about creating a true win-win situation. Genuine persuasion actually enhances the self-esteem of the other person. You're treating them as a responsible, self-directing individual, and honestly, that just naturally makes them want to help you. All right, moving right along to section 1, the emotion-driven mind. This is the absolute foundation of human decisions. To master positive persuasion, you have to internalize one really crucial fact. Human beings are inherently emotional creatures. We are not purely logical, no matter how much we like to think we are. If you've ever taken a basic sales training course, you probably know this, but it applies to literally every single interaction in your life. Every decision a person makes ultimately boils down to 2 main emotional drives. It's either the pursuit of pleasure or the avoidance of pain. Whether someone is deciding to buy a product from you, grant you a quick favor, or approve your big project at work, they are emotionally calculating how this action will bring them pleasure or save them from a headache, like the pain of embarrassment or just doing extra work. So you might be wondering, if we make all these decisions based on emotion, where does logic even fit into the picture? Well, we use logic to back up the emotional decision we've already made. Entrepreneur Dexter Yager hit the nail on the head when he said, if we break up the word rationalize, it becomes rational lies. It's so true. We tell ourselves these rational lies to make our emotional choices seem totally logical to ourselves and others. The big takeaway here? If you want to persuade someone, you have to speak to their emotions first. Seriously, stop trying to argue pure logic with an emotional creature. Okay, section 2, habit. Respond, don't react. This is all about staying in control of yourself. Now, this habit is an absolute game changer for keeping control, especially when you're dealing with difficult people who seem like they've been specially trained just to infuriate you. The secret sauce here is understanding the vital difference between reacting and responding. When you react to someone's negative attitude, you're essentially handing over the steering wheel. You're letting their toxic emotion take control of you. You match their anger, your egos clash, and everybody loses. But when you intentionally pause, take a breath, and choose to respond, you maintain your control. You keep both egos perfectly intact. You acknowledge where they are coming from without becoming a victim to it. And that immediately opens the door to actually finding a mutually beneficial conclusion. Let's look at section 3, habit, the platinum rule, customizing your approach. You are going to love this habit because it's a massive upgrade to a standard of interaction we all grew up with. We all know the golden rule, right? Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. It's a genuinely wonderful philosophy, but there's a catch. It assumes everyone wants to be treated the exact same way you do. The platinum rule, which is a concept championed by authors Jim Cathcart and Dr. Tony Alessandra, takes things a giant leap further. It says, do unto others as they'd like to be done unto. People are wildly different, and they need different approaches. Some folks want bottom-line facts and figures right this second. Others want to shoot the breeze and establish a friendship first. To persuade effectively, you absolutely must adapt to their style, instead of stubbornly forcing them to adapt to yours. To put that into perspective, let's look at a classic hardware store analogy. You see that number on the screen? 0.25, a quarter inch. There's this old, brilliant sales adage that says people don't go to the hardware store because they want to buy a quarter-inch drill. They go because they want a quarter-inch hole. The drill is literally just the tool to get what they actually want.
In the art of persuasion, your job is to figure out what the other person's quarter-inch hole is. What is the specific emotional benefit they are secretly seeking? Once you uncover that true motivation, persuading them becomes incredibly natural and completely effortless.
Moving to section 4, habit, the 8 magic words. This is your go-to script for gatekeepers. This is one of my absolute favorite tactics. It is a specific, practical daily script you can use anytime you need a favor from someone who holds the power to tell you no. Think gatekeepers, customer service reps, or strict bureaucrats. Here is exactly how you do it. First, you just make a polite, respectful request. Treat them like an important human being. Then you drop the 8 magic words. If you can't do it, I'll definitely understand. And then you follow that right up with, if you could, I'd certainly appreciate it. Now, why does this work so brilliantly? Because people with a little bit of authority usually love to exercise it to protect their own ego. By looking them in the eye and saying, if you can't do it, I'll understand, you are completely handing the power over to them. You remove the threat. And because they no longer feel cornered or intimidated by you, they will often bend over backward to try and help you out. Section 5, habit, cultivating unseen loyalty, building long-term advocates. So while those 8 magic words are phenomenal for quick, short-term fixes, mastering positive persuasion is really about playing the long game. It's about proactively building this incredible network of people who know you, like you, and trust you long before you ever actually need anything from them. And the absolute bedrock of this long-term loyalty is tact. The author's father brilliantly defined tact as the language of strength. It's your ability to make your point in such a way that the other person isn't offended at all, and they actually end up embracing your suggestion. It requires some real diplomacy. It requires putting the other person's ego way ahead of your own petty need to be right. When you speak this language of strength every day, you naturally build up this reservoir of unseen loyalty. And here is one of the single most powerful tactical habits you can use to cultivate that loyalty: the perfect thank you note. I know, it sounds almost too simple, but trust me, almost nobody actually does this anymore. Here is the exact anatomy you need to follow. First, it must be personalized and handwritten. Do not type it. Second, write it in blue ink. Studies actually prove that blue ink is more effective and memorable than black. Third, use a real hand-stamped envelope, not some generic corporate postage meter. And finally, it must be 100% non-salesy. I am totally serious about this. Put the business cards away. This is about pure gratitude. And a quick warning, if you don't do this immediately after a meeting, the law of diminishing intent kicks in. Basically, the longer you wait, the less likely you are to ever do it. Sending these out creates fierce, loyal advocates for life. Which brings us to Section 6, the Daily Persuasion Checklist. Let's build your master persuader routine. We've covered a ton of incredibly valuable ground today, so let's tie all these principles together into a concrete, totally actionable daily checklist that you can execute starting right now. Think of this as your screenshotable cheat sheet for the day. At 8 a.m., maybe during your morning commute or that stressful first meeting, make the conscious choice to respond instead of react to a difficult situation. Use that power pause. At 12 p.m., during a lunch break or a client call, intentionally apply the platinum rule. Focus on treating someone exactly how they want to be treated. At 3 p.m., when you hit that inevitable afternoon roadblock and need a favor, deploy those 8 magic words and empower the gatekeeper. And finally, at 6 p.m., before you completely clock out for the evening, sit down and write just one handwritten thank you note in blue ink. Just imagine how wildly your life and your relationships would change if you did this every single day. I want to leave you with this final, somewhat provocative thought. It's very often said that success in almost every area of life is based roughly 10% on your technical skills and a massive 90% on your people skills. You can literally be the smartest, most talented person in the room, but if you don't know how to positively persuade others, you're always going to hit a ceiling. So, looking back at the daily habits we just built together, what will you do today to master your 90%? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Now get out there and start winning without intimidation.